Because you go and see them, you dummies! And so do I. We could talk about brand recognition and marketability, but the bottom line is these soulless abominations are making a profit year after year. The reason I subject myself to so much cinematic torture is every once in a while there's a gem. A remake which takes an original diamond in the rough of a film, polishes it up and turns it into something spectacular, either elevating the original material or doing something completely different with its premise, which is brilliant because we're seeing something new and interesting. None of the films you see on screen right now are examples of this, these are all complete shit. But remakes can be fantastic, and they are not going away anytime soon, so why not remake the one film that deserves it, the ultimate diamond in the rough.
Kings, we're the princes of
the sensation you're feeling is the quickening.
Here we belong. Fight to survive in a war with the darkest power.
That's right, you group of wallies, Highlander, the ultimate diamond in the rough. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking, Highlander, really? Are you a goddamn moron? This film is a piece of shit. That's where you're wrong. Granted, this film has its flaws, but it's a cult classic and it's brilliant for what it is, and there are a lot of merits as to why it should be remade. Alrighty, let's get into them. Here we go. Okie dokie, the premise to Highlander is really simple. This handsome devil is an immortal, but he's not the only immortal, there are a bunch more of them out there, each with their own flavour, some are good, some are bad. They are all compelled to kill each other via decapitation, because
there can be only one.
The last man standing receives the prize, which kind of looks like a galactic orgasm, but actually gives you unimaginable power, and turns your head into this. I imagine they ran out of budget at this point in the film. Anywho, how cool is this premise? You've got everything you need. You got sword fights, you got decapitations, you've got this rivalry, good guy versus bad guy that lasts across time and centuries. You know, it's so cool. Granted, it is a really strange premise, but there's a lot you can do with this premise. Firstly, let's talk about setting. This film has the potential to be set at many different points in history and anywhere really. But Highlander mainly takes place in 1985 New York and 16th century Scotland. The majority of the film is set in these two locations, and rightly so because it's in these areas where the emotional core of the storytelling takes place, and it's smart to ground your film in an area we kind of are familiar with. There are only two other locations, 18th century France and Nazi Germany. These scenes don't really add too much to the film, and it is a bit of wasted potential here, which is a shame. But what I'm trying to get at is that in a remake, you can place Connor in any point in history between the 16th century and modern day. So long as it serves the story, you know, that's the most important part. As long as it serves the plot and it has a reason to be in there, that is going to make the film that all the more better. But if you get a variety of locations, then it's going to make the film even grander in scale. You know, you can place Connor in some historical events, I don't fucking know, this, that, maybe that, who cares? He's immortal so he can survive many different things. And you can show potentially the horror of his length of life through setting.
Everybody's dead.
I'm like you, I'm alone.
You know, there's so much stuff you can do with it. It's a ripe, little juicy grape, ready to be picked off the vine of good ideas. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Anyway, next point.
This is kind of magic.
I'd like to walk you home, Brenda. It says you work for the police.
Highlander doesn't have a linear plot progression, it's non-linear, so it doesn't go chronologically. It isn't Scotland, France, Germany, New York. Instead, the story is centred around the modern day, with large parts of the plot being conveyed through flashbacks. The creative transitions used to go from modern day into the flashbacks are amazing. Look at that is some quality filmmaking right there. For the sake of conveying this plot succinctly, I'm going to show you it in a linear fashion. Alrighty, so Connor MacLeod here is born to the clan MacLeod. The they go out and fight some other idiot clan where Connor is shanked by a scary dude, and he dies of shankitis later that night. Suddenly, boom, Connor is alive and well again the next morning. Everyone thinks he's a witch, his bunny lass,
He's in league with Lucifer.
even his cousin Dougal.
You've the devil in you.
The town go to town on Connor, and they plan to... Luckily, Connor is saved by his pal Angus from being rump roasted, and is instead banished.
I'll no forget you, Angus.
Years later, Connor falls in love with Heather and settles down in a creepy secluded castle tower thing with geese! All of a sudden, during lovemaking time, Sean Connery comes flying over a hill on his majestic horse and is like,
Greetings.
So, Sean is here for Connor. They are both immortals, and Connery takes it upon himself to train Connor through the majesty of montage. Throughout the training sequence, Connery sets out the rules of being an immortal. Number 1, you can't die.
You cannot die, MacLeod.
Unless... Number 2, if you are decapitated, you die.
If your head comes away from your neck, it's over.
Number 3, when only a few immortals remain, they will feel an irresistible pull to a faraway land to fight for the prize. This is called
The Gathering.
Number 4, there's no fighting on holy ground.
You are safe only on holy ground. None of us will violate that law.
Number 5, immortals are incapable of having children.
But what I want is a family.
You cannot have a family. We cannot have children.
That won't please Heather.
Connery strongly advises Connor to leave Heather.
You must leave her, brother.
There's a great character building moment where Connery reveals a little bit of his humanity by telling Connor about his last wife.
Shakiko, a Japanese princess.
He talks about how her father made him this sword,
It is the only one of its kind. Like his daughter.
and
When Shakiko died, I was shattered. I would save you that pain. Please, let Heather go.
oh Sean, that was really touching. Hope you don't die soon. Connery clues Connor in on who the scary dude is. He's called the Kurgan, and he's the most powerful of all the immortals.
If he wins the prize, mortal man would suffer an eternity of darkness.
Cut to the next night. Connery is away for the evening for some reason, and he's left Heather alone with Sean Connery, which is a big mistake because she'll easily succumb to his charms, and she is doing, and also leave left wine there. What was he thinking? She's obviously going to go with Sean. Oh my god, Kurgan surprise! Kurgan bashes through the goddamn door. A fight ensues, where the tables are smashed, necks are slashed, and walls are bashed until Connery is penetrated by the Kurgan and deheadified. Next, the Kurgan turns his attentions to Heather.
Hello, pretty.
Some time passes, and Connor is reunited with Heather at the ruin of their home. The years go by, and Heather inevitably falls prey to the cruel passage of time. And as Heather is passing away, we're treated to this heartbreaker of a scene.
I don't want to die. I want to stay with you. Forever.
I want that too.
Will you do something for me, Connor?
What, Blossom?
In the years to come, will you light a candle and remember me on my birthday?
I love. I will.
God damn.
Good night, my buddy Heather.
And so, Connor buries Heather in the Highlands, which concludes the 16th century Scotland material. Now the rest of the film is complete bollocks, so I'm just going to skip through it as quickly as I can. Right, here we go. Connor gets drunk in France and gets skewered a bunch of times. He then saves a girl and shoots a Nazi, which is always fun. This fool gets decapitated and Connor hides his immortality from the homophobic police.
You a faggot, Nash? Why, Garfield? You cruising for a piece of ass?
Connor creeps on this forensic examiner called Brenda
Have you been following me?
and gets her caught up in a surprise Kurgan back alley fight. She insists that Connor has a really old sword and they go on a dinner date because of it. Why? I don't know. It doesn't go to plan anyways, and then Connor splits. Connor's immortal buddy Castigair shows up and they have a really good laugh. Later that night, Castigair tangos with the Kurgan. That doesn't turn out too well. Brenda finds out Connor is lying about his identity. Now Connor's in a church, he's lighting a candle for Heather because it's her birthday, and suddenly our old pal the Kurgan shows up and he's sporting the latest in 80s fashion. The Kurgan opens up the conversation on a friendly note, telling Connor he just killed his best friend Castigair, and proceeds to keep the dialogue amicable by revealing how he raped Heather.
Lay ground, Highlander. Remember what Ramirez taught you.
Connor returns home and Brenda's like,
I'm looking for a dead guy named Nash.
ah, crap, the jig is up. Connor spills the beans on who he is. And
I am immortal.
as proof of his immortality, and just to psychologically scar Brenda for the rest of her life, he gets her to stab him. And we all know nothing makes a woman hornier than if she gets to stab the man. Unless you're a lesbian, or you just don't like sex, or anyways, these two having a good old rompers time in the bedroom, and right when they're about to climax. I didn't edit that. That is an actual creative decision that happened. We go from this to the— oh god. Kurgan kidnaps Brenda, screaming ensues. Connor turns to Rachel, the girl he saved from Germany, and says, goodbye, underdeveloped side character. I have to save my underdeveloped love interest from the underdeveloped villain. Fuck, that is hard to say. And so, the gathering comes to its climax in the faraway land of the Silver Cup Studios.
What kept you?
Connor fights the Kurgan with excellent choreography, music, and cinematography. And then wins. The prize is bestowed upon Connor.
There can be only one.
We are told the prize has given Connor the ability to read the thoughts of any person, and that Connor intends to use his power to help the people of the world get to know each other a little bit better, make peace and shit. That's very nice. For that little bit of extra class, right at the end, we get Sean Connery saying a few cheeky lines of dialogue, like this one.
You have power beyond imagination. Use it well, my friend. Don't lose your head.
Oh, Shauno. And that concludes Highlander. That is what happens in it. It concludes all the modern day stuff and the other parts of the timelines no one gives a shit about. There are some little things that I would not include in the remake, such as this Vietnam vet going around looking for a fight with his Uzi, and then he gets shanked by the Kurgan, which adds more pointless material for the pointless police plot line to be dragged out even longer than it should be. That sort of shit you can cut. There's a lot of stuff I glazed over whilst talking about the modern day plot line, such as Connor and Brenda's romance storyline. Now, I think this needs to be completely rewritten, or just changed entirely, get rid of it maybe. Because it's poorly established, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever for them to have a romance. Why should they jump into bed with each other? You know, you've not exactly been hitting it off.
You want? Don't you ever think about anything except what you want?
There's a lot of creeping going on, there's a lot of lies, so why would you sleep with each other? Who fucking cares? Another missed opportunity is Connor's relationship with Rachel. Connor saves her from Nazi Germany, and he's presumably a father figure to her throughout the years. You can do a lot with this dynamic between characters, but instead, Rachel is boiled down to a loyal secretary who notices Connor is lonely every now and then. What a waste! Then there's Castigair, Connor's immortal buddy who's in the film for a whole of 2 minutes. I'm not joking, he's in the film for 2 minutes and he serves the purpose of being cannon fodder. It's supposed to give Connor more motivation to hate the Kurgan, for the audience to detest the villain a lot more, and to raise the stakes as the gathering is coming to a head. But it falls flat, because there's no development behind it. I have a better idea. Either have Castigair or Rachel, not both. Dedicate more time to developing one character and their relationship with Connor, so when the Kurgan kills them, it's more impactful. Speaking of the Kurgan, he's fine as a mindless, power-hungry, psychopathic villain.
Ramirez.
But again, there's so much more you can do with the character. Originally, the Kurgan was meant to be more of a sympathetic villain, and I think it holds true that the greatest villains in any medium are the ones you can relate to. Give the Kurgan a tangible motivation for wanting to kill all of the immortals, other than, I'm a bad guy, I like you to stabby, I like you to killy, the rapey, and I wanted the prize. You could have this moment where the Kurgan, very much like Sean Connery earlier in the film, reveals a little bit of his humanity to Connor. Have it in the church scene potentially. Maybe the Kurgan fell in love with another immortal, and then Sean Connery killed that immortal, prompting the Kurgan to want to see an end to the hell the immortals are subjected to. Or something to that effect, you know? It gives the character more of a dynamic motivation, and it makes the conflict between protagonist and antagonist more interesting. But instead, we get this shit.
I have something to say. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Alrighty, let's have a little bit of a change of pace and tone here. Let's talk about the elements of character and plot that the film absolutely nailed. Fucking hell. Firstly, the The character of Connor MacLeod is spot on. His motivations are very clear and his development is interesting and engaging. Secondly, and probably most importantly, Sean Connery. Oh, Sean, you sexy devil. We see a really strong relationship form between Connery and Connor, and then this question pops up quite early on in training.
If it came down to just us two, would you take my head?
It's a great question to pose to the audience. How can we trust in their relationship, considering they are both immortals and will have to kill one another in the gathering, because...
In the end, there can be only one.
We go from distrust and harsh lessons learned at the beginning.
Crude and slow, clansman, your attack was no better than that of a clumsy child.
That's right, Connor, you dummy. To Connor's training paying off as he comes to understand his abilities and begins to enjoy them. Thus, the training has come to an end, and the question of whether these two immortals can trust one another is given an answer.
Give me your hand, brother.
It's such a small setup and payoff, but it's this sort of stuff that really sells you on the character motivations and the believability of their relationships in the context of the film's plot. And next is the lovely, happy, wonderful scene I like to call the mini mortality montage, which is just superb. Yes, this entire sequence is massively aided by Queen. It really sells the sequence. And the reason it can do this is because music with lyrics have the luxury of marrying emotive music with very obvious slap in your face commentary.
Who wants to live forever?
The point is, this sequence is sold to me, because all the elements are working together in the right way, and it just keeps kicking you when you're down. When you're at your lowest point, Heather says this.
I wanted to have your children.
They would have been strong and fine.
It uses pre-established material to really hammer home how heartbreaking it is for an immortal to fall in love with a mortal. This entire sequence gives Connor more depth to his character. An element I love about this film is the mysticism around its lore. Connor asks,
How did it happen, for God's sake?
which is a jumping off point for the film to delve into some really heavy expository world building, but instead, Connery replies,
Why does the sun come up? Or are the stars just pinholes in the curtain of night? Who knows?
This bit of dialogue is here to divert the audience from asking too many questions, and rightly so, because the film isn't focused on telling the story of the Immortals and their origins, it's focused on telling the story of Connor MacLeod. So in this instance, the plot only represents a surface layer of the whats and whys of being an immortal, because the lore is just a tool to express and heighten the emotions of the character and plot.
What I do know is that because you were born different, men will fear you, try to drive you away, like the people of your village.
Sadly, there is no replacing Freddie Mercury or Michael Kamen, who did the original orchestral score. So let's hear something new. It's a remake after all. I want a full orchestration, alright? I want a composer who can make vibrant, energetic battle ballads. Someone like Jerry Goldsmith, listen to this. Fucking great, amazing, but wait, we also need someone who can deliver on truly emotionally heart-wrenching material, a romantic suite that represents the emotional journey of our main protagonist. James Horner is the quintessential Wait, what? Goldsmith and Horner? Well, shit. The biggest problem Highlander has is that its flashbacks are way more interesting than the modern day plotline, but in my mind this highlights a very clear need for a remake. You can build on the material that works very well and designate more screen time to the areas that sorely need it. And the wonderful thing about a remake is you're not just limited to what the original film did. You have the opportunity to make new material, add new ideas, to reimagine the setting, plot, characters, and anything you goddamn well please. What I don't want to see, and I'm fairly sure most of you don't want to see, is a half-assed Highlander remake that's trying to recapture the magic that made the original a cult classic. Instead, I want a great premise to be given to great filmmakers. How could you possibly go wrong? Oh. Yeah, I guess that's how. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my mad ramblings, and if you liked this content, please subscribe, give this video a like, and share it around. I'd really appreciate that. Bye!